that is how an element of IT can be integrated into media, okay? And all these things that we're doing that are all revolve around media, we platform them on social media, which then gives the client more following, more revenue, more customers, more eyeballs on the page. Okay, so other things that we do at Total that involve, I'm trying to think of things that involve IT, but I want to make it quite clear now that even though you're all studying IT, I don't believe that all of you will end up in IT. Can you put your hand up if you want to end up in IT? In fact, stand up if you want to end up in IT. Stand up for me. So you guys are absolutely sure that you want to end up in IT? Yeah? What do you want to do? Oh, what, sorry? Okay, yourself? What's that? Okay, yourself?
I'm not fully sure yet.
You're not fully sure? That was the answer I was actually looking for. Alright, sit yourself down. Everybody that did not stand up, stand up. Stand up. Come on, get up. Alright. You're doing an IT course. You don't want to end up in IT. What are you doing here?
I just don't know what I want to do yet.
That's a good answer. Okay. Something's led you down the path to this course. Alright? And you might not know why that is yet, but that'll come later in your future. What do you guys want to do?
I don't know as well. I'm just exploring options.
Are you exploring options? Seeing what you want to do? That's also a good answer because, you can sit down now, the core, or let's say the central nervous system to all businesses is IT, alright? So even if you don't want to end up in IT, say if you want to be a CEO like me, I still need to use elements of IT. I use Excel very heavily. I do things called KPIs, which are key performance indicators, and that is measuring the sales. So I know if people are performing well, where they're up to with targets. There's tables on the bottom of it all interlinks and formats. And I had to learn that myself because I didn't go to college. I was the naughty kid at school, okay? So I've had to graft to where I've got to. I'm now 40. My business partner, who's called Whitney Williams, she's very similar to myself. She's had to graft as well. And the story of Whitney and I, we were working for another company, doing the kind of the same thing that we're doing now at Total. However, we took a spin on the actual industry and added in video content. We took it fully online. We got rid of print. Everything is digital. And we do things like this. Our competitors, you'll never see out and about interacting with people, telling the story, because they don't really have much of the stories to tell. Okay? So, do any of you guys feel like you need a bit of motivation? Because some of you don't look very motivated to me. Put your hand up if you're super motivated. Okay, right. With motivation comes drive. What's driving yourself?
Well, I'd say like I've done like my IT stuff my whole life so far, so it's what drives me non-stop. It's my passion.
It's your passion, you like it. Now, if you like something and you get that little feeling in your stomach when you're doing it, you're definitely on the right path. Okay. As soon as that feeling goes away, and you're getting geared down a different avenue, that's when sometimes people go off course and maybe find a different route, if you're all sticking with me. So let's be a bit visual now, okay? We're going to put loads of goals up there. These are your end goals, yeah? Let's just put 5 up there. CEO, Managing Director, IT Specialist, Business Owner, anything else. You guys are here, alright? So you've got all these different paths, and it literally is your choice of which path you take. And at any point, you can tailor off. and change your mind. You are allowed to change your mind. You might do this course, get to the end of it and think, well, I'm not going to use that. But you've still learnt something. And guess what? You've got a question.
Is it still more? It's more like having a theme instead of a direct goal, so you can wobble, bobble, and weave. But today, instead of set a goal and maybe coming up short until being discouraged, you've got a theme, so you may not hit that goal.
Yes. Let's look at it as a missile, right? Do you know the missiles that they shoot out of planes? They have a target. But what normally happens, the missile comes out, goes backwards, and then it's got coordinates and it's got to get to the goal. So each coordinate goes dink, goal, dink, goal, dink, goal, dink, end result. So you're going to have stepping stones along the way. Now sometimes you'll do something and you'll think, why have I done that? But then later on, it'll probably make perfect sense, and if you wouldn't have done that, you wouldn't have ended up where you've ended up, wherever that may be. So this part of what I'm talking about now is about keeping motivated and being goal orientated. If you don't have any goals, you're not going to be successful. Okay? Goals and success come together. Let me tell you two words that don't sit together. Laziness and success can't be in the same room. If you're lazy, the chances are you're not where you're supposed to be. Okay? So you need to think about what drives you, what do you want, and then take action. The action you take is going to be a direct result of what you do to get to this goal. Who's taken action recently to try and get to some form of stepping stone or a goal? Has anybody done anything out of the ordinary off your own back?
I've always had an interest in exoskeletons, so apart from my hands, so I've been buying some parts and waiting to get one and I'll start putting it together.
Okay, so you've got a mission, you've got a little goal, there's something that you're doing, and then you're going to learn from that. And whatever you learn from that, that'll stay with you, and you can take that forward as you progress with your career. You're all very young. You're going to think that you're adults. Guys, you're not. You're very, very young. But that puts you in the best position ever, because it means you can do what you want. Yeah? The choices are endless. Look at me. I've got early any GCSEs. You don't even call them that anymore. But because I had drive and I had passion, I am the CEO of a company. Motivation is really, really key. I'm glad some of you have changed the expressions on your face, because you look like you're coming more towards the motivational side, and it's so important, because if you've not got that drive in you, what the hell have you got driving you? Alright? And I think it's fair to say you need to make decisions for yourself as well. Sometimes you'll have parents that'll push you in certain directions. Oh, do this, I did this, I'm brilliant at that. That means you should be good at that. That's what you should do, because that's what I do. If it's not right, go and find something that is right. And that goes, also that, you can do that for your hobbies as well. Because it's not just all about business, you've got a life at the end of the day. So, I think it's 70% of your actual time you'll spend working. A long time, that, isn't it? Imagine doing a job that you don't like. How annoying is that? If it's a stepping stone to something much bigger, that's fine. I did 10 years at another company and made the guy millions. I was his sales manager, but I ended up running the whole show. Then I jumped, created Total, and that was my 10 years of graft. And now I've done it. I'm there. Okay? I'm no different to any of you. Yeah? If I can do it, why can't you do it? You can. So, you just need to think about what you want. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about that particular topic with the motivation side? Don't worry if you've not.
Obviously, you said you've been running this company for obviously 18 months.
What do you think is the biggest challenge of your company?
Oh, we've
Raising
had
more?
so many challenges. Right, so the first challenge with Total Publications is the people that we used to work for tried suing us because we went head to head with them, but we didn't take any data and we didn't breach anything, so there was nothing to sue us for. So that got dropped quite fast, but still, 2 youngish girls setting up on their own, we're a team of 2, this guy's trying to sue us, we're like, what we're going to do, we didn't have a clue, we wrote a letter back from the solicitors, it ended up getting dropped, and then guess what? COVID kicked in. Brilliant. 2 of us sat in this office going, oh my God. So we had no income coming in from anywhere. So we literally, both of us, Whitney sat on one side, me on the other, telesales, bang, 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 selling as much as we could. But in that time as well, we also had to get a readership. That is the people that actually read the publication, which are potential customers for us because they're interested in what we're putting in the publication. So we're constantly sending emails out, we have tendering software, we can see all the construction projects in the UK. So this is a big IT system, but this is one that we had to purchase and it is very expensive. 500,000 contacts are on that system. We emailed every single person, it took ages. We got back, on an opt-in basis, 126,000. Our readership on that one platform is 126,000. Okay, so at that stage, sales are coming in. Now we've got our readership. How the hell are we going to produce this publication? So, all right, okay, there's still only 2 of us. Can't employ anyone yet. Yes, we've sent invoices out. They're not going to pay till it's actually been produced because you're not going to pay for something if you can't take it away, are you? So, I had to work out how to use Adobe InDesign and page turning software and do graphic design to create these adverts and all the features. But I did it because I didn't have a choice. And no matter how high that barrier is, you can always get to it. The only thing stopping you is you, and we wasn't going to allow that to happen. That first edition rolled out and it was a success. Now we're getting internal calls. Oh, hello, I've just seen your publication, could you come and interview us? So now we start hiring staff. So we get someone in to do the editorial, the artwork design, we get more people in sales. We've got 12 staff now. So we've got 6 people on sales, constantly all day long, bang, 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 bang. We've got a studio department. Jenna's part of the studio team, who actually came as an apprentice. So Jenna started as an apprentice, which some of you might do with companies similar to ours, but she loved the job so much, she didn't want to go to college anymore. She wanted to shadow what I was doing, because as I evolve and do more CEO things, Jenna can take over things like this. So she's kind of my wing girl, and she's getting to do things that your everyday 18-year-old doesn't get to do. So, what was your original question? Well, that's something better, lad.
Obviously, what was your main challenge to raise the company more?
Challenge, okay. So we had the COVID, like I said, but we did get through the COVID. We were probably one of the only publication companies still running through COVID, but we didn't have the choice because we had to get the revenue. So we've actually overtaken quite a few companies that do what we do. There are a handful of companies, but they don't do it to the level of what we do. They don't do all the IT stuff, like the filming and the actual presenting and things like this. So we are very, very unique as a company. And challenges, we don't see them as challenges, we see them as learning curves. And if you get a challenge and you get around that challenge one time, believe me, you can get around it 100 times. Any challenge you get, just smash through it. There's always a way.
So the key is to be stubborn.
It's not stubborn, it's called consistency. Persistence and consistency is the key to success. It really, really is. If you want something bad enough, believe me, you'll get it. I bet there's been something that someone in here's wanted, like, oh, I want an Apple Mac, or whatever it is, I want a car. I want this, I want that. I bet you've worked your ass off to get it, haven't you? Am I wrong? Anyone? Has anyone wanted something and actually got it?
Oh yeah.
What was that then?
It was a camera.
Right, you wanted a camera, and how much was it?
£2 grand.
That's a very expensive camera, so what did you do to get it?
Anything I could.
Anything I could. So, whatever obstacles he's had, he had a goal and he wanted that goal. So he's charged through them all and he's got them. £2 grand is a lot of money to raise as well for a student. Did you take some jobs on?
Yeah.
What kind of jobs?
Well, I was working at a store, and then I also was doing other stuff on the side, like cutting grass and washing cars and stuff like that.
Anything possible.
Yeah.
Well done. Well, can you give me a clap, guys? Right. Not everyone has got that. That's something special. That's pure motivation and drive. Just because you've not got it now doesn't mean you can't get it. Everyone can get it. If your goal's strong enough and the end result is something that you really want to get to, it isn't even a fight. It's a case of pushing through. It's possible. Anyone got any questions?
I was going to say, at the start, how did you manage all the different things going on? Because it must have been so
I work
complex.
24/7. I work 24/7. My business partner Whitney as well, both of us. We had different jobs to do. Both sat there all day on our PCs, and then when it got to night, laptops are open, we didn't stop. But you've got to put in the hard work, you've got to do it. It's like if you're saying gardening, you've got to plant your seeds, and you've got to look after them. And if you don't, your garden's not going to grow. It's exactly the same things. You've just got to plant your business seeds. I'm still planting business seeds, believe me. I'm nowhere near stopping. We're charging forward, and we'll continue to do that, probably forever, because it's just the type of people that we are. It's inbuilt in us. Anybody else got any questions?
I'm just curious, when that analogy, like you're still planting seeds and everything, and you want to plant them all as long as possible. And I don't know if you'll know it now, but do you plan to keep this business going long after you're gone? Do you plan to see it going once you're no longer CEO and you're not around anymore?
Yeah, we've got children to pass it down to. So we could make a decision in 10 years' time to either sell it or pass it down. And I would think we'll keep it and be advisors, so kind of take a back seat and let the younger generation come forward. But we'll help them with that, and we'll develop them and kind of show them the right way of going about it and make sure everything's in place. But I can't see us ever not having an involvement in it, because it's our baby. And with the hard work we put in at the beginning, I can't even tell you, I was walking around like a constant zombie. You're capable of anything. As long as in your head, you've got your head straight, your body will just follow what your head's saying. It really will, because that's where everything's controlled. So if you're not where you want to be, you need to have a chat with yourself, guys. The first thing you need to do is figure out what you want to do. That's important. Some of you don't know what you want to do. A lot of you stood up at the beginning when I said stand up if you don't know what you want to do. So, should we see if we can maybe solve that problem for some of you today? Stand back up if you don't know what you want to do. There's no way I know if you all know what you want to do, get your asses up. Right, okay, I'll start with you because you're closest to me. So you've not got a clue what you want to do?
Not entirely, no.
Nothing, what, not entirely, does that mean it's an inkling?
Partially, yeah.
Go on then, what is it?
Well, I've associated with computers mostly in my life.
Yeah?
So I'm leaning towards stuff related to video game work.
Ooh,
It's
that's
always what I've associated with. It's been my hobby for most of my life.
So it's a passion as well, isn't
Yeah.
it? That is a job. People can do that. Why are you not gearing towards that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to know anyway.
Well, this is your first step. So you actually are on track for what you want to do. So what you need to do, have you all got LinkedIn? Yeah. Put your hand up if you've not. Stay stood up, everyone, please. Get LinkedIn. Yeah? LinkedIn is like Facebook. Okay, but it's for businesses. Add everybody what does what you want to do and watch how they're doing it. If they can do it, you can do it, but you need to know what they're doing so that you can copy them. It's called a role model. even if they don't connect with you, if you press connect, you'll still follow them. So you'll get to see what they're doing, why they're doing it. And a lot of them will speak into the camera as well, and it'll motivate you and it'll give you a drive to keep going. Or maybe one of them will say, oh, I've just done such a game with such a company. Go and have the company. Send them something. Look what I've done, look what I can do. You've got to be bold as well. Okay, what do you think you might want to do?
So I want to create my own business, but I don't know what in yet. But I have to take the step on getting another job, so therefore I can have money to start building up that website.
You're mega motivated, Joe. You've already bought a camera and now you already want to run a business. You've succeeded in mission number 1, so that I don't think you'll fail in mission number 2, because that was a pretty big graft, £2,000. And how old are you, 18?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So what are you interested in? What appeals to you?
So I wanted to have my own like clothes brand at one point, but I don't know how well that would turn out at the moment. But there is like other things such as work on different technologies, what can advance people's lives, like if they've got like disabilities or anything.
That's good. What did you buy the camera for?
So when I was in high school, I wanted to. I was doing photography at the time, and I wanted because that was something I enjoyed doing. But I've gone off that a bit now because of with college and stuff like that. But I still like when I go out in places, I still like to take photos.
And you want to do a clothing brand.
Yeah.
So what have you got to do when you've got a clothing brand? You've got to take the pictures of the clothes, haven't you?
Yeah.
You see the steps that you've already done and that you might not be aware of. Maybe that is where you're going to end up. And if it keeps niggling at you and you think, I really want to do this, that's what you're going to do. As long as you don't stop. You only stop and fail when you decide you're done. If you decide you're not done, just keep going, you'll get there. Yourself at the back?
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what I want to do, but like last year I was doing like a clothing brand as well.
Oh, was you?
Yeah, but like when COVID started, we were just getting started in like February. So when COVID kicked in, we didn't have so much sales. And we nearly got sued as well for copyright.
Oh.
We didn't entirely understand.
That's a
how
learning
fast it
curve.
is. Yeah.
You've got to have your learning curves because you don't know. It's alright if something happens along the way. Do you remember the missile? What went ding, ding, ding? It's just one of them dinging to the other side until you get to where you want to be. So do you still want to do a clothing brand?
Yeah, I still want to do it, but it was 3 people were doing it like with 2 of my friends, and they don't want to do it anymore. So I just started there. I don't know what's going on.
If that's your passion, do it yourself. You don't need friends in business. It's great to have friends outside of business, but business and friendship is very different. So you've got to follow your path. Sometimes if you're working with friends, they can gear you onto a different path that you wasn't necessarily going to go on, and then you might end up in a place where you didn't want to be. So sometimes it's worth cutting the cords with certain people. Obviously still hang around with them outside of business hours, but maybe focus more on yourself on the business side. And guess what? You're studying IT. You can develop your own website. Get your social media going. Your mate there's a photographer. This one. Alright. Yourself? Yeah.
I'm like these, so I'm leaning more toward the business aspect of things because I did work experience in my uncle's warehouse kind of thing. And I enjoyed that. I was doing invoicing, I put like listings on eBay and everything else.
What does he do as a business?
He sells baby clothes.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean,
So you like the business aspect of it, don't
Yeah.
you? Doing all, because you just told me before you told me what the brand was and the product, you told me what you was doing.
yeah.
So that means you like doing all that kind of stuff. So you're in a really good position because you can pick anything that you kind of are attracted to and put all them skills into place and you can just set up like that. You're onto a winner. You just need to think about what it is you want to open up as a business. You'll be fine, Rick. Yourself?
Well, I want to work my way up in a company, and then I want to set up my own company afterwards.
Excellent.
I have to gain some experience first, and then set up my own.
In what industry?
I'm not too sure, so I just want to work my way up into a company, get on a decent wage, and potentially branch off and make my own company as well.
the company that you're going to go and work for initially, you're going to have an interest in what they do.
Yeah, definitely.
If you don't have an interest in it, you're not going to do very well because you're not going to be bothered. It's like there'll be people sat in this room that don't care what I'm saying and what I'm about and what I do. It doesn't matter. That's your opinion. But you need to think about it. Is there anything that you can think about now where you think, oh my God, I'd love that on that?
I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Something's got to be appealing to you.
I'd have to really think about it.
You do need to think about it because you haven't got a goal. How do you think you're going to go and get a job and then work your way up to run your own business if you don't know what sector you want to be in?
You've got to be interested in that,
Yeah. So you've got to think about what that is. You've got your IT stuff, you bagged for that. That's sorted. That was the hardest bit for us doing all the IT. You've got it. You're 5 steps in front of what I was when I set up Total. So think hard about that and then plan to action and get up there. Yourself?
I have no clue.
Oh, that's a good one. Come on, give us a bit more than that.
I generally don't know what I want to do.
What appeals to you? What do you like doing?
I don't know.
Have you got any hobbies?
I'll play video games all day.
Maybe you'll like this dude over here then.
What do you look for when you're hiring though?
I love personality.
Right, okay. And what qualifications? Really?
Qualifications irrelevant to myself because I train everybody in-house. I go off the personality, you can sit down guys. I go off the personality of the actual person to make sure one, they're going to fit in with my company.
If what you want to do is really like fiction stuff, but one of the stuff is not particularly good or at the very least not very liked, is that in that sense? So I've talked to people on what I want to do, and they kind of maybe steer away from that, and I'm not sure.
If you're not sure about something, you need to keep dipping your toe in the water with it to make sure you're not sure about it.
That's like obviously stuff for robotics. I've seen one do stuff for security with that. But I had a bit of too much of an interest in it, and I was able to get parts. I wanted to actually build my own stuff at home, but so I don't know if that should have been where I continue. I should move away from it.
I think you've got an interest in it, and it sounds to me like you're passionate about it because you're doing it in your own time. I think you should keep doing it and see where it goes. If you keep coming back to something and you're taking the time to do it in your own time, that's a massive key for you. It's a sign that, in my opinion. Don't get everything I'm saying today is in my opinion. Alright? You might have your own opinions about things, but I'm just telling you from my point of view, using my experience, going from somebody that had not a lot of education, who has ended up quite successful. So what you take out of it is kind of up to you. Alright? I'm not for everyone. But if you learn one thing today, it was worth me coming down, wasn't it? Any more questions?
You were saying you leave your first job. You've been your first job for the company for 10 years. Are there any problems with getting into that job and staying with it? You was a sales manager?
Yeah, I was a sales manager, but I was kind of managing the whole business, which was fantastic because that gave me the insight to set up my own because I knew everything inside and out, the background of it and the front end of it. I've never had a problem getting a job because I've always been quite confident with interviews. I started actually with a company that sold Sage software, that's account software, I don't know if you've heard of it or not. And I was literally making cups of tea for the salespeople, just putting it on the desk. And that was me, I was an office junior. So that was my first job. And then I started picking things up off these salespeople. And I said, oh, can I have a go? And they went, yeah, go on then. So then I turned into telesales and I ended up being really good at it. And I kept selling things, making appointments for the senior sales to go out. Guess what? I ended up being senior sales. And then going out, selling the product. Brilliant. But I kind of hit where I could hit. It was a small company. There was nothing else left there. So then I applied for a job as a team leader with a completely different industry. Johnson Service Group it was called. So they service things like mechanics, you know, the dirty overalls and hospitals to take the washing away, bring it back. I was leading a team of appointment makers and they were booking appointments for salespeople to go down and actually sell the product. So I stayed there for about 3.5 years. There was nowhere else for me to go there either because there was already a call centre manager and that was the next step up, which is where the job before the one that I've got now, without mentioning company names because of competitors, I went straight in as sales manager, didn't have a clue about the industry. Sat there on my first day thinking, what are they going on about? I didn't have a clue. And I tell you now, when you get a job, that's what you'll do. If you go into a company and you don't know the industry, you'll sit there for about 2 weeks thinking, I don't know what they're on about. You'll think you've got really thick. And then one day it all just drops. The penny drops and you think, right, okay. And you kind of piece it all together and then you just crack on. So I took 10 to 12 years I was at that company for, managing the sales department, managing the product. I kept seeing things with the product that could be developed and made better, but the managing director just wanted to stay where he was. He was happy getting what he was getting and he didn't want to grow. So I got to the stage where I thought, right, okay, I'm going to outdo you all, bang, set up. Any other questions? Yes?
What does CEO actually stand for?
CEO,
Yeah.
Chief Executive Officer. I am actually a joint business owner, so Whitney are with the same level, neither is higher than the other, but the CEO is in charge of kind of the future, where the company's going, and if there's anything they might want to incorporate, making big deals what are in the future, whereas the managing director is more hands-on on the day in the office with what's going on in every day. So she's watching over the sales, she's watching over the studio to make sure the production, we call it the production line, is kind of rolling the way that it should be. So we've got very different roles even though we're equal. Whereas I'm always thinking, right, what can we get in next, what can we do, what can we develop? And then I'll work with studio, with the likes of Jenna, and we'll go and develop something and see what happens. The production bit that we've just done recently, the thing I was describing before with the CCTV, we've done about 7 of them now with different companies, and it was just off the back of an idea that Jenna and myself had. And we just keep going down and doing them, and people keep booking them and they love it. So it's surprising how things happen. But the funny thing was, I always wanted to end up in front of the camera, as you can see, because I'm confident speaking in front of you guys. And that's what I'm doing. And it's my own company. My day, in my head, lasts about 7 minutes. This is another thing I wanted to tell you about, actually. If you end up in a job and you feel like you're there for 3 days and you've been there for a day, that ain't job for you. Okay? So this is where you need to think, what do I want to do? But then bear in mind, is it a stepping stone? If it's a stepping stone, it's essential that you do take that stepping stone to get to the end point. It's not easy, but it's doable. As long as you know there's something at the end that you want, that'll keep you going through all the hard times. Because you will get hard times. And guess what else you'll do? You'll make mistakes. Nothing's undoable. You can make massive mistakes, trust me. Don't be shy about it. If you make a mistake, speak to somebody that does what you do. Speak to somebody that kind of is a role model to yourself. If you're making mistakes now, speak to your tutors. Tell them. They'll guide you. People are happy to help and they like doing it. And it's surprising who you'll gel with and take the advice from and actually implement it into your life and your career. We're now at the point where we can actually say, okay, there's 8 companies here, these all want to go in the June edition, and we can pick who we want to put in. We might not put them all in. We only want the very best content. And that's such a luxury, because 9 times out of 10, anyone that does what I do, they're going to take what they can get. We get to choose, because we've built a solid platform. That's the key for us. Any other questions? Yes?
That's not something clear. What you actually were saying with that McDonald's, you know, start people's name, it's what you do is just simply leveraging people's desire to be seen.
Yes.
To make money.
Yes, because what they want to do, if they work with a company like McDonald's, the chances are, for example, there's a company called EAIS, and they do the shelving or the racking, do you know, in the fridge and the freezer. Now, they've got a contract, so they do every McDonald's around the country. But what if Burger King see that? And they think, I wonder how much they're charged to who we're using. They're obviously good because they work with McDonald's. So that's what they're going in at. They actually work with the likes of Costa Coffee and Krispy Kreme and stuff like that. but they want to be seen by more people and they're proud of what they do. So yeah, they want video content, they want it for their own social media, they want it for the features. Social media is massive. The amount of business you can generate from LinkedIn is insane. If you've not got LinkedIn, you need to download it. Seriously. Just put yourself down as student, entrepreneur, whatever you want to be. And like I say, add all them people what are potential role models for you. Or anybody that's inspiring, that lifts you up. If you're having a crappy day, you can go on your LinkedIn, let's see who's saying what. Trust me, you'll feel better when you come off it. Any more questions?
Did you start martial arts before you started business, or was it the other way around?
I was working, I started martial arts quite late in life at 22. I'm like hitting 40 now. So I've been doing it for a long time, but I've always kind of mixed it together. Martial arts is always in the evening and at weekends, and work is 9 to 5. I had to sacrifice martial arts at one point when I was starting up total because I was working 24/7. I was doing bits that I could do, but you always sometimes have to sacrifice. So you've just got to think of the bigger picture really. If you sacrifice something, it doesn't mean you've got to sacrifice it forever. It just means that you've got to push it to one side for a little while, then you can pick back up on it later. So that's what I did, and that was a big sacrifice for me because I live and dream martial arts.
So it's always better to like stuff which you enjoy. Sometimes you've got to put it to the side just to try and focus on the business aspect, because in a sense, obviously, the business aspect's going to get you even more of what you enjoy.
Exactly, and it'll give you more free time when you start making all your money as well, because you won't need to stress about that. If you're financially free, you can do what you want. So yeah, you do have to sacrifice things like that, and it also includes maybe sometimes friends that aren't really good for you. Anything that's weighing you down, cut strings. If you feel something stopping you from progressing going forward, get rid of it. It's not for you. Yeah.
Okay guys, everybody say thank you to Carrie for coming in.